Well, hello, my loves, and happy Sunday to you. So today we're off onto an adventure and diving kind of deep into this book that I have quoted many times before, that I go back to often. And as I do my morning pages and just kind of set my mindset, get focused, think, write, journal, pray, all those kinds of things, I usually turn around and choose a book that is well loved. And usually you can tell they're well loved because they've got all these little things sticking out. And those are always my favorite. And some of my favorites are actually on my desk because I reach for them so often. And this is one of those books. This is The Gift by Edith Eger. And Edith she goes by Edie. She's just an amazing human being, and she is 97 years old and going strong, leading like workshops and different things like that. She's a psychotherapist, and she is a Holocaust survivor. And you've probably heard me talk about her before, but she has two books out, The Gift, which is this one, and The Choice. And so good. Just every bit of like goodness in there. And so as I pulled the book out, and I pulled it out specifically because I was myself dealing with some stuff. And I flipped open to the area that's obviously flagged a million times in here, and it's all underlined and everything. And I read it and I was like, that's it. I love it when that happens. I love it when I'm looking for something to express how I'm feeling or what's going on around me, and I pull out a book and there it is, and it's just, yes. And so I decided to use this for today's Sunday inspiration. And I'll talk a little bit more about this at the end, but let's look at this for now. So out here I have a 16 by 16 canvas that I've already just put some papers down on. These were leftovers that I had on my table. However, I did put down these papers for a specific reason. So one of the things that I have been kind of dealing with is this feeling of perfectionism, which I always deal with, which I tell you guys that about all the time, and how often I can beat myself up about things. There's a million things. Someone can say just one small thing about my work or how I create or how I teach, and it sends me on well, maybe I should do better. Maybe this, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. You know, I think we all have been there. So these papers are representing my story, every single thing in here. And that's one of the things that I really encourage you to do is, as you create, allow your story to unfold on whatever you're working on, because this could be done in a journal, could be done smaller or bigger, whatever. But allow your story to unfold here, because it's when we are in action of creating that we can take that time and kind of mull things over, work things out here. So these papers are all like graphs and numbers and practice sheets, and it's all that kind of, I'm keeping score on what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. And usually I pay attention to the wrong versus the right. And so that's the meaning behind these pieces. And then numbers are always specifically, they have meaning for me. So I've already put those down with matte gel. Now out here I just went to a magazine and started cutting out words that felt like the story that was going on inside me. And it'll make a little bit more sense once I kind of talk about what Edie says in her book, but I pulled these out because this is the story that I am working through right now. Some of them are negative and some of them are positive. And I want to put the negative down first, and I want to wipe them out. I want to cover them over. I want to say goodbye to them. And I may even put a few more like stenciled words on here too, because some of what I was thinking I couldn't find. So I have out some stencils, and let me grab. So where's the one I was looking for? So I have a couple of smaller stencils that I can stencil on some words. This one's the positive words. Just breathe. Creativity takes courage. If you can be anything, be kind, follow your heart, etc., etc. And then I know I have a letter stamp. Here we go. So I have a couple different fonts here of other, like I can just spell out some of the words that I want. Okay, so I have those out, and I want to put, I may stencil some other like negative words down and wipe them out. That's significant. It says I'm saying goodbye to them. And our art just is, it's living through us. Then I have these other stencils because I have this is Mediterranean something. I'm terrible at the names. And then this is Daisy 3. And I thought about daisies, and why I'm bringing flowers in, I have no idea, because this is going to be abstract. But for me, I think of what's happening right now in my journal time, how I'm processing through some things as growth. And that can mean a lot of things. It could be vines or leaves or things like that. But I thought about daisies because they're the friendly flower. They're happy. And so I have those out. This is the cone flower, but it's close enough. And I don't know if I'll use both of these or just one, because I really like this one. It feels a little freer, but I pulled this one just in case. And whatever stencils I do use, they will be on sale. Then I have some pattern stencils out here because I want to create some texture. And this felt really bold. And I felt like that was appropriate for the story that I'm living. And this one too. And then I got some smaller patterns just in case I was feeling a little too bold to see. But I will put some texture down with my Utrecht gesso. And the reason I'm choosing Utrecht gesso is because it's heavier than my regular gesso, but it's not as heavy as like a texture paste or super heavy gesso. It's like middle of the road, but I can still get some good skipping and palette knife work, and it works well in my stencils. So I'm going to create some texture and layering the words that I want to wipe out, and putting texture over them, and then bringing the good words up to the top layers so that they'll show through a little bit more, not a ton, unless there's a specific word that I want to show through. I have out some fluid acrylic, or these are high flows. This is phthalo turquoise, and this is sepia. And I've, of course, got some raw umber. This is just regular golden so flat raw umber. I even have a little bit of Payne's gray out here. And then I have magenta, and I have some green because these colors work really well together. I don't know how they're going to go down. And I know that maybe if I were doing some florals, there might be a little green in there and some magenta. But I also was thinking about some brighter color because they are daisies, and again, the boldness of it in telling the story. So I have this is a custom mix. I called it Sunshine because that's what it felt like. I just like it. It's kind of an orangey yellow, and these two colors look really great together. So I have those colors out along with my white and black gesso. And I have some matte gel out to put these little bits of papers out. I have makeup sponges to do my stenciling with. And that's all I know right now. I brought a brayer out because I wasn't sure if I put some texture down, if I wanted to kind of brayer through some of that. We will see. I also have a credit card out. I have a couple things out to see how I want to get some texture down on this. I don't want to completely eliminate the papers. I just want to get some areas of texture, and we'll see, because I usually always go overboard on the texture. I have a dividing line here, and the words that I want to cover up are going to be down here, and more of the words that I want to show through are up here. This is where the light is. This is where the growth is. All of that. So we'll see how that comes. At least that's what I'm thinking. We'll see how that comes together. Okay, so the supplies that I am using will be listed on the blog or in your weekly email. And the stencils that I use will be on sale this week. Okay, so that's all I know. I'm doing an abstract and I'm telling my story. So Edith, like I said, she is a Holocaust survivor and she has an incredible story. But one of her chapters, all of the chapters are just, so good. I don't want to go into it because I could be here all day. This chapter is called No One Rejects You But You. And I know I've talked about this before, obviously, because it's tabbed, but it's still worth coming back to because sometimes I need to be reminded. But and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read the things that I underlined. And one of the first things that I underlined was, no one is born with shame. And like I said, I was feeling this. I got a couple comments about art and about teaching. And some of them really, and part of this too is because I feel really vulnerable now with everything else that's going on in my world. So that doesn't help. But I let them kind of settle in me, and I allowed them to kind of work inside, and I started picking apart how I paint, how I teach, all those kinds of things. So, no one is born with shame. Freedom lies in accepting our whole imperfect selves and giving up the need for perfection. And like I've shared 1,000 times, I am a perfectionist when it comes to so many things. I'm so hard on myself. And like I've said before, we are harder on ourselves than we are on other people. We would never, ever say the things that we say to ourselves to someone else. Like what I've been saying to myself over the last few days, I would never, never say that to anyone else. Ever. So I'm going to go to, so she says, she talked about her shame and her story and how her parents told her she was ugly, and that's a good thing she's smart because she's not going to get a man and that kind of thing. And then she went to the Germany and all that kind of stuff, and she was in the concentration camp, and of course that just wipes away every bit of your soul. And so she said, my belief was that I was damaged. I strove for perfection, believing I could achieve and perform my way out of shame. But we're human, no more, no less, and humans means fallible. Freedom lies in accepting our whole imperfect selves. Our whole imperfect selves. Ultimately, guilt and shame don't come from the outside, they come from the inside, because we allow it. And believe me, a lot of us have been in a lot of situations where it's hard to push that away, that shame that somebody else has put on us. I'm not saying that this is an easy recipe. Not at all. I've been to therapy for a very long time. But she goes on to say, who said everyone should love us? And I thought, it's a simple statement, but yes, who said? Which God said that we should get what we want, when we want, how we want it, the way we want it? Who said that having it all is any guarantee? No one rejects you but you. And so when I reread those words and I thought, I'm rejecting myself. I'm allowing all of the things to come in and say, see, I knew it. I knew it. I knew you're not a good artist. I knew you're not a good teacher. I don't even know why you're doing all this. And it sounds completely ridiculous when I say it out loud. But no one is rejecting me right now but me. Me. I'm keeping this story going. So she goes on to say, people will criticize you. That's just life. She says, what I do is I say to myself, is there anything helpful here that can support my growth and creativity? If not, then I just say, thank you for your feedback, and I release it. I shut the door on it. I quiet the voice. I do all those things. I just move on. Easier said than done. If we're to live free of shame, we don't let other evaluations of us define us. That's really hard to do, but it's the truth. And most of all, we choose how we talk to ourselves, just like I said. And I chose to talk to myself very poorly this last week. And now I'm choosing differently, and that's okay. You weren't born with shame. Your genuine self is already beautiful. I could cry. Your genuine self is already beautiful. You were born with love and joy and passion. And you can rewrite your internal script and reclaim your innocence. You can become a whole person. You can become free. It's work. It's a daily thing. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to do this and then everything is fine. That's not how it is. And sometimes it's easier than others. Sometimes, like I said, when we're feeling weak and vulnerable and somebody has something to say about who we are or what we do, it's hard to fight off those voices or those feelings or those thoughts or those old stories and tapes that we grew up with or that we went through. But if we pause and we go back to your genuine self is already beautiful, just as it is, just as you are. And I wanted to remind you of that today. I wanted to remind myself of that today, that I am in charge of what's going on inside. And no one rejects me but me. And I get to stop whatever is going on, say thank you for your feedback, and move on. And I want that for you too. I hope that this encouraged you and that it gives you strength and the ability to quiet your own voices if that's something that you're dealing with. I think we all deal with it. I don't care how confident of a person we are. Sometimes some of those things just get in and it's hard. And we have to remember, all right, time to shut the door on that and remember who I am. I am a whole beautiful person just as I am right now. Okay, my loves, I hope this inspired you. I hope this will inspire you. I can't wait to tell my story through this piece. And I hope it truly inspires you. I hope your Sunday is restful and peaceful. And I hope that you always, always know that you are loved.